Okay, I'm in.
Excellent. Okay, perfect.
Okay, I guess we'll start, and whoever joins, that will be nice. Good evening, everyone. As I said, I'm subbing for Rochel today, and it's nice to see everyone. Good evening. We have just finished the first week of the very special months, the months of Elul, the last month of the Jewish year. And as, hello, Cheryl. As Rochel discussed last class, it's a very, very auspicious time because the king is in the field. What does it mean is that Hashem is very much accessible, available. Good evening, Darit. Our sages talk about, the story of a king who has been away traveling on a journey. And now he's tired, he's returning home, he's very much happy to be back home, to see his people, he's relaxed, he's wearing jeans and t-shirt and a casual attire, in a very happy mood, coming home, traveling through the fields with a big smile, greeting people, and being open, accessible, no appointments are required to everybody who would approach him. And that becomes, this is the essence of the month of Elul, a very, very auspicious time when people all feel that once we approach the king, he will listen to our request, he will be merciful, he will be forgiven, and that change will come, the necessary change. And that belief in Hashem's mercifulness and in Hashem's mercy and in the fact that everything can be repaired, that the damage that was done can be fixed, comes from the Moses story. It started from the time of Moses. On the Rosh Chodesh Elul, Hashem commands Moses to make a second set of tablets. And from that, the journey of the forgiveness begins. As you know, the first tablets have been broken by Moshe when he came down from the Mount Sinai, and so the Jewish people was making a golden calf. And that was really the betrayal of the relationship. Jewish people was just newly married to Hashem on the Mount Sinai. They received the covenant, the commandments, and they made the golden calf, and the relationship was broken. And the start of the month of Elul, the first day, starts the process of repairing the relationships. Moses gets the commandment to make a second calf, the second set of tablets, and then he goes up for another 40 days, and eventually Hashem relents and grants forgiveness on Yom Kippur. And that's where Moses comes down victorious with the second set of tablets. But that belief that the broken relationships could be mended, that the damaging patterns could be reversed, actually makes the essence, the main hope at the heart of the month of Elul. And that is something that we inherited and able to recreate Moses' experience in our own personal journals. As our sages said, the change breeds change. So if we change our attitude, it also starts many changes in the people's lives. So we all want to change something in our lives. It could be the job that we want to change. It could be the location. It could be the house. It could be the relationship we're not happy about. Or maybe we could start a new, healthy, nicer relationships. Everyone has some aspect of their life when they would like to have some change. And month of Elul is actually the start of a beautiful journey of self-discovery that will allow us to bring this change to fruition. It's the really unprecedented opportunity to ensure that change actually comes to be realized. So what does it really mean? Journey of self-discovery, approaching the king. What does it mean for us? The Torah actually tells us that even before Moses' Elul journey began, there was another journey of Abraham. When Hashem approaches Abraham, he tells him something really strange. He tells him in the book of Genesis, go from your land, your birthplace, the home of your parents, to the land that I will show you. This is really, really strange. Because usually when people travel, they go to somewhere. We know where we're coming from. We don't need the very detailed descriptions when we're traveling from. We need the very, very detailed descriptions where we're coming to. And when Hashem approaches Abraham, it's completely the opposite. Hashem is very, very vague about the destination. He just says, it's the land I will show you, trust me. But very, very particular and meticulous. And the details telling him to leave the land, the birthplace, the home of his parents. Very meticulous description of where he would be, of the place he would be living, and this is something very unusual. So the Hasidic thought gives a very beautiful explanation to this. It says that instruction is really a commandment that Hashem has for each and every one of us. Go on a journey of self-discovery. Leave behind anything that might hold you back. And then I will show you your true self. I will show you the place, your divine soul, your essence, your true self. So if we want to discover higher essence of ourselves, the aspect of ourselves, that's what we need to do. Because this is the journey that many of the people want to take. We all want to get rid of the damaging patterns. We want to get rid of all the unwanted behaviors, all the unwanted baggage. And sometimes we even get inspired to pack our bags literally or metaphorically and actually get on this journey. But it's a very, very difficult thing to do. And as the result, many people start, and then it's so much easier to go back to your comfort zone, so much easier to revert to the old patterns or to the old places, which might not be very good places, but we're comfortable in there. So good intentions are all pure, but it's very, very difficult to put them into fruition. And lots of things are weighing us down, the so-called golden idols, which could be the society, could be the peer pressure, could be the family pressure, could be our own lack of confidence that we could accomplish all those things. So the key to the meaningful change is actually know how to get to the new place and know how to leave all this baggage behind, to unload the past and to say goodbye to all these old damaging patterns. So by telling Abraham, leave your land, your birthplace, the home of your parents, and go to the land I will show you, Hashem instructed us, the descendants of Abraham, that there are three forms of subjectivity, of the biases that we need to leave behind when we go on a journey of self-discovery. So when they say your land, and that's actually why it explains why such a detailed description, it's at different levels. Your land represents the first level of subjectivity. This is the societal influences. This is the community and peer pressure, which affects us in the most deep and profound ways. It's very natural to be liked and accepted by others, to feel that we're adjusted, that we're part of the crowd. And it has impact on our behavior, for better or for worse. It's not necessarily, the community is a beautiful thing. It's not necessarily the negative, but there could be some negative influences that are weighing us down and has impact on our behavior. The home of our parents, the second layer of where Hashem told Abraham to go from, represents the second level of subjectivity. This is the parental influences, the influences of our family that sometimes could be very subtle, but they could deeply play very deep role in forming of our attitudes, our biases, the way, the prism through which we actually view the world. And again, it could be very good, but sometimes, unfortunately, it could be negative as well and weighing us down. Your birthplace represents the third level of subjectivity. And this is the inherent self-love. Self-love is very much a human condition. We find all sorts of, our mind works over time to find all sorts of justifications, all sorts of excuses for our own behavior. Not only that, but we often get self-blinded by our own self-interests. And it's just a natural human condition. None of us is immune to that. And that doesn't mean that we need to completely discard those things. Like I said, that could be, first of all, it's all very natural. Second, it could be very good and positive influence. We all know how good and rewarding it is to be part of the family, part of the community, the circle of friends. But what we have to be aware of is how much of our behavior, especially the behavioral patterns that we are not, opinions, that we are thought patterns that we're not really happy about, that we'd like to change, how much it is coming from those external influence. And only when we begin recognizing it, then we will be able to follow through and to actually start changing, breaking those damaging patterns, changing those behaviors. We'll be able to leave them behind. When we understand that it's not necessarily my beliefs, it's not necessarily my opinions. Perhaps I don't even think that way, or perhaps I don't even want to act that way, but just do it because I want to fit with the crowd. So identifying these damaging patterns and personal biases are a very essential step on our journey to self-discovery and towards freedom from the personal bondage. Because in one way or another, we're enslaved. We're enslaved by these psychological issues, by the behavioral patterns, by social standards, by all these attitudes that pushed us perhaps to make some career choices or settle in certain places. And we might feel it's not really ours, and we might feel that we're not really free to do what we feel that we want to do, that we feel is our mission in this world. And learning how to be free in Torah is called living Egypt, living the Mitzrayim. The word Mitzrayim in Hebrew, which actually means the land of Egypt, but it also comes from the word narrow, from the word of limitations. Which would be representing all sorts of enslavements that drive our behavioral patterns, or thought patterns. And This is the way when we are working through the months of Elul, when we are working through changing these patterns, through dealing with those internal issues. We are getting rid of the shackles, we're getting rid of these limitations, of these constraints, of these obstacles. But our sages also warn us that to live, to become free, to leave the Mitzrayim, it's not enough. They talk about two sides, two different parts of freedom: freedom from and freedom to. And that's why actually it says in Ethics of Our Fathers, leave evil and do good, because just leaving evil behind, it's not enough. Just freedom from is not enough, because what's going to happen if you don't make the second step, if there is no second part to follow up the freedom to, if you don't do the do good part, then inevitably people will go in circles and unfortunately come up back where they came from. It will be just a very short moment of inspiration. And that's what we know happened to the Jewish people, the slaves. They left Egypt, but their bodies left Egypt. Their mind didn't leave Egypt. They still had the same thought and behavioral patterns. And that's why eventually it was a new generation that already proceeded to the free land, the freedom to, because that freedom from part just wasn't enough for the people. They started falling to the same traps, to the same kind of damaging patterns that they actually tried to escape. The ethics of our fathers teach no one is free except the one who is immersed in Torah study. In fact, identifying the practice of Torah study and observance with freedom. And this is what the true path to freedom is. Many people, ironically, don't think of the religion as a path to freedom. As a matter of fact, many people say, oh, I have so much trouble already, why do I need 613 commandments? Oy vey, why do I need all this restriction and that restriction? They see it as a very, very restrictive, as the very, very constraining indeed, and in no shape and form identifying it with the freedom. And that is actually because this is not a true religion. It's something that people create in their own image, So there is a kind of joke. They say that people responded to Hashem in kind. Hashem created people in their image, and people responded in kind and created God in their image. And that's the one that Baal Shem Tov once told to the self-proclaimed atheists, that the God you don't believe, I don't believe in either. So that constraining religion, it's really the human creation. It's a man-made trap. And the true Torah, following the Torah of truth, is really a path to the true freedom. Because actually people getting rid of all the artificial man-made constraints of society, of fads, of the prevailing opinions, whatever they are, and instead coming to the essence, to their true essence, to the core, to the truth. And this is why the Torah was given to us. Torah was given as the permanent record, as the source everyone could refer to, because the sages say that freedom is divine. It cannot be human. As soon as it's human, then there is someone who is in control of it, someone who wants to sell it to you and own it. And this is why the man-made religion becomes a form of slavery, becomes oppressive, because it loses its divine nature. And Torah was given in the desert so that people could understand that Torah belongs to every single person, belongs to every single Jew. It cannot be hijacked by anyone. And because it represents the truth, It's actually helps people to go to their true selves and discover the true essence. The meaning of the Torah is something that engraved in the fabric of the universe. It engraved in our DNA. It's something that we learned, Midrash tells us it's something that we learned in the mother's womb. And then when the person is born, the angel kisses baby in the lips and made them forget it. But in fact, we all know it. And somewhere deep down, we actually know that it's the whole truth. And it's the following the Torah, learning Torah, is actually helps us to become truly free and truly liberating, and helps us in our journey. So the months of Elul were using as the time to take account of everything that's transpired during the year, everything we're happy and unhappy about, everything we would like to change. And that accounting is actually a very uplifting process. It should not be weighing us down. It should not be scary. To the contrary, it gives people the sense of hope that something can be changed, that it's a great time to make that change, and that it can be accomplished really. So unfortunately, again, due to that man-made religion that we spoke about, so many people associate Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the holidays, with this sense of fear, with this, oh my goodness, I have to take an account, I'm going to be judged, I'm not worthy, I've done this, that, and the other, and what's going to happen to me. And Hasidus actually tells us that there is no need to be depressed, there is no need to fear, there is no need to be sad. To the contrary, what is happening, the king is in the field right now, and he wants us to approach him, and to repair the relationship, whatever was done during the year that damaged the relationship. He wants us to undertake during the months of Elul the journey of self-discovery, to voice all our concerns, to voice all our issues, to voice what it is that we need to change and to work on it. And he's here to help. He's here to have this relationship strengthened and repair it. He just wants us to be active participants in this process. And when that happens, then we approach Rosh Hashanah actually with the sense of optimism, with the hope, with the firm belief that we are actually able to change whatever we need to change, that we are not reverting to the old damaging patterns of thought or action or behaviors. And we are coronating the king at the end. On Rosh Hashanah, we as people, when Hashem goes back to the palace, we coronate him as the king. And the king cannot exist without people. The king is only a king as long as he has the kingdom, as long as he has the people who are willing to accept him as the king. So he actually wants us, he needs us to coronate him and to take over ourselves the obligation to be under Hashem's kingdom. So I wish everybody very, very meaningful months of Elul, a very meaningful week. It will be a second week of Elul, and to take stock of what it is that needs to be changed and repaired, and work on it. And I wish everybody success in all your endeavors.
Thank you, Eugenia.